Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Avalos. I'm the education lead of Globe My Business. So let me formally welcome you to the fourth installment of Escuela. So just a recap, we have had three webinars already. The first one discussed about the situationer. So ano na po ang nangyayari in our setup in the education landscape. We've invited our thought leaders and our industry experts in the next two escuelas focusing on the basic education and higher education. So today po, we will be doing more of those tech integration techniques. So today we'll be discussing the benefits of technology in the classroom. So just to give you a heads up, please make sure that you register and we'll be sending you a copy of the webinar and the presentations of our speakers. So without further ado, let me introduce to you our esteemed panel of speakers. So let me talk first about Miss Winnie Diola. She is an educator and mentor who focuses on student creativity and empowerment as she combines innovative strategies and various technology tools to create student-centered learning environments. So she is also a strong proponent of active and collaborative use of technology in the classroom and passionate about understanding the diversity of learners to keep them engaged and responsible for their own learning. Winnie is the Education Technology Coordinator for grade school and for Brother Rafael Donato Knight High School at the De La Salle Santiago Zobel School. She was named one of the top 10 outstanding Filipino teachers by the 2016 Metro Bank Foundation. She's an Apple Distinguished Educator, an Apple Professional Learning Consultant, an Apple Teacher, Google Certified Educator Level 1 and 2, Google Innovator, Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert, Minecraft Global Mentor, and a distinguished Lasallian educator. And recently, I learned that she is also the teacher of one of my colleagues. So let's welcome Miss Winnie Diola. Teacher, welcome po.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
Morning. Yes, naka-beauty wave siya. Our
Morning.
next educator guest is a graduate of Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in physics from the Philippine Normal University in Manila. He is currently the Education Technology Coordinator of De La Salle Santiago Zobel School, and he is completing his master's degree in General Science for Basic Education at the De La Salle University, Manila. He's a gamer by heart, and Sim is an advocate of game-based learning, gamification, and edtech. He continuously updates and acquires certifications from Google for Education, Microsoft, and Apple, and he has served as a resource speaker and participant for various ethic events and programs such as the Frontiers and Innovations in Teaching of the Xavier School System, Spark It of De La Salle Santiago Zobel School, EduTech Philippines, BETT Asia, Microsoft Education Summit Philippines, Network Learning PH Incorporated, and the International STEM Studio of the TGR Foundation. He suspects that he might be a caffeineholic, and he rejoices aloud during the GCQ. So let's welcome Sir Symbol Fabellion of De La Salle Zobel School. Okay. Our and last but not the least, the last speaker is a teacher, trainer, and is an experienced designer. Being a licensed interior designer and an American board certified instructor with a master's in teaching major in English language from the De La Salle University, Manila, her various background and experiences have surprisingly become quite useful in her current role as instructional designer of the EdTech office of the De La Salle College of Saint Benilde. She advocates the use of non-conventional learner-centered education methods and works to educate the academic community about intellectual property in content creation and management as part of responsible digital citizenship. Let's all welcome my former colleague, Diana Elisherago of the College of Saint Benilde.
Good morning.
Okay, so before we start the live demos, I'd like to check on you guys. Kamusta po kayo, mga teachers? Kamusta po ang inyong quarantine experience? Let's start first with Diana.
Ako talaga. Ano ba? My quarantine experience has been both, syempre may anxiety pa rin. There's been anxiety, pero pretty much I'm settled kasi Introvert talaga ako. Hindi ako lumalabas talaga ng bahay kahit walang quarantine. Parang naka-quarantine na rin ako.
How
Pero
about you,
yun, busy with
Winnie?
work.
Ako, it's the most relaxing vacation. Kasi ngayon lang ako nakapanood ng K-drama. Ngayon ko lang na-enjoy. Ganun pala yung feeling.
Okay, K-drama naman si Miss Winnie. How about Sir Sim? Nakamute ka, Sir Sim. There.
Ako nakaka-relate ako kay Miss Diana kasi introvert din ako. So, lagi lang nasa loob ng bahay. Pero bumili ako ng mga bagong games para hindi ako mabuwar sa bahay.
Okay.
Saka yun,
So-
ang choose kung ano.
Yes, sir. You were saying? Are you still anxious? Dapat siguro at this point when the school year is about to start and we are experiencing the new normal, we have to as educators, we have to also think of innovative ways on how to make our classrooms, our virtual classrooms, more interesting. No, so today we'll focus on that. For our first speaker, the first speaker is Miss Winnie. She will be talking about productivity apps and the Google Classroom. So take it away, Miss Winnie. We're excited to hear about your presentation.
Thank you. Okay, good morning everyone and welcome again to eScuela. Thank you Globe My Business for inviting us this morning. So for this morning I will talk about the use of Google Classroom as a platform in online learning environment or online distance learning. In an online distance learning, having a learning management system is really very important. There are several LMS available that you can choose from. But for this morning, I would like to focus more on the rich features of Google Classroom. Next slide, please. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there's an abrupt, next please. Okay, thank you. There's an abrupt shift from face-to-face instruction to online distance learning. The new normal brought us so many challenges, not only the educators here in the Philippines, but around the world. And this coming August, for us here in Salle, we'll start our classes in June. We're still facing so many challenges. But then again, despite the digital inequalities that we are experiencing, we need to prepare ourselves for online distance learning or remote learning. So as first-timers in designing learning plans for ODL, perhaps you've started asking yourself, next please, how can I make my teaching productive, collaborative, and meaningful to my students in online distance learning? Not being able to see my students physically and not knowing they could be suffering from different challenges and circumstances, it's so difficult to think about the activities to prepare. Then there are other factors to consider, like how to monitor the progress of our students, how are we going to make sure that the learning goals are achieved, what assistance are we going to give to our students, and what kind of instructional plan are we going to deliver, and how are we going to deliver it? Are we going to provide the learning management system, or are we going to give them the learning packets? So there are so many valid, relevant questions that we have now. But please allow me to share a little bit about our program in school. Next, please. In 2011, our visionary school leader president, Brother Dennis Magbanwa, FSC, implemented the Pearl Mobile Learning Program, or what we call now the Next Generation Blended Learning Program. It's a one-to-one learning environment, meaning each student brings his own mobile devices in class that serves as a tool for learning. It's part of the school curriculums that we provide transformative blend of instruction, both face-to-face and the use of technology. We would like to offer personalized learning processes to our students so that we will be able to create a transformative learning environment wherein the students are active, whether offline or online. They are collaborating. They construct meanings from the things that they are learning in the classroom. They create authentic projects and they become goal-directed. Next, please. But this blended learning approach is not the same as technology-rich instruction or what we call the pure online distance learning that we're going to do this coming August. Rather, it's a seamless integration of face-to-face instruction and the use of technology to provide the personalized learning um, environment that allows some control over time, place, path, and pace of learning. Next, please. In our program, we also highlight the four common models: the whole class blended, the flipped classroom, learning playlist, and station rotation. I will be highlighting the learning playlist as strategy later on. Next, please. Pero kung maraming challenges sa pag-implement ng online distance learning, meron din siyang positive side. Because in the online distance learning, it allows the personalization of learning, wherein we can provide the flexible content and tools for our students so that they can work on their own, at their own time, at their own pace. But we just need to make sure that we are targeting the learning goals that we are needing. But at the same time, another advantage of having the online distance learning, we can help our students to reflect and to own their learning. They become responsible of their own learning. But of course, what is really important in an ODL is we have to be data driven. We need to make sure that we get the analytics to find out how we can still improve our program, and at the same time, we'll be able to assess our students in order to give them the timely feedback. So those are some of the good things about having distance learning for now. But as I've mentioned, we need to have the learning management system. We need a platform where we can put all the materials that we will be providing to our students. There are several. I'm familiar with these four: the Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams. Next, please. Microsoft Teams, Schoology, and the CISO. The CISO is the one that we will be using for our lower grade students, for the younger learners. Next, please. So for this morning, I'll focus on the use of Google Classroom. So it's said to be one of the best learning management system at no cost at all. Kasi po libre to sa lahat ng schools. All we need to do is to ask for to set up to register your school under the G Suite for education. So mas maganda kung ito yung gagamitin natin compared to personal Gmail account. Maraming limitations yung personal Gmail account. So if you're in a school using personal Gmail, please tell your administrators to contact some Google partners here in the Philippines so that you can be registered. Next, please. So if it's your first time to use the Google Classroom, you just need to go to classroom.google.com. Then you will be asked to log in with your Google credentials, then click continue. Then, next please, then you will be asked to select your role. Please make sure that you select the correct role. Choose the teacher role, because if you mistakenly choose that I'm a student, then it will be difficult to correct the error. You still need to contact the suite administrator for that. Next, please. And now you're ready to create and customize your class. All you have to do is to click the plus button and then create your class. Next, please. Then you're going to enter your class section, which is very important information. And please make sure that it's unique from other classes to avoid confusion. But the other information like subject or group, these are optional. So once done, then you have to click create. And now, please, next please. Now you're going to have the main menu. It's where you access all your classes, your calendar, your playlist across classes, and there's the global setting, how you want to receive your email notifications, the comments from your classes, and for all the classes that you are teaching. Next, please. Then that's the stream. It's the communication hub where you can post assignments and other messages for your students. You can display the class code so that your students can join. Then you can also send messages or announcement where you can set draft, set schedule, and also you can create an announcement and post. You can also reuse your posts from other classes. And at the same time, you can identify if you need to share some quiz or links to your students, you can identify the students who need to receive those links. So for those who are absent, you can unclick their name. So that one showing the posting of materials from other classes. There you can choose the names, then just post. Okay, next please. Then you're going to go to the banner part wherein you can add students with the class code. That's the easiest and the fastest way to add your students. The other option is inviting your students through email. So medyo matrabaho yung inviting through email. Then another limitation, if you're using the personal account, if you're going to look at the eSkwela, wala po siyang Google Meet link. So isa siyang limitation. And the good thing about having the Google Meet link in your Google Classroom, you can easily monitor and you can easily turn off the link so that the students will not be able to join in the discussion without the teacher's supervision. So that's another limitation of using the personal Gmail account instead of the G Suite for Education. Next, please. The next one is the classwork. This is where you will create, distribute, and organize your assignments, your questions, your class materials, and we'll have a thorough discussion of this classwork later on. So next, please. Next is the next part is the people. This is where you add your co-teacher, you add a teacher, you make her your class owner. Then you also have your student you can invite through email. It's there under the people. Then it's either you invite or you send an email to your student. You can pick the action and then you can check, you can mute, unmute, you can remove your student and you can send an email to your student also. What I really like about this area is you have the ability to invite the parents, especially for the grade school. We would want to have a constant communication with our parents. So they have the option to receive the email summaries, whether they want it daily or weekly. Okay, so the next is about grades. So it's another good feature is of GC or Google Classroom is the built-in grade book. You can view the grades and return. You'll see the red, yung po mga red kanina, yung mga hindi nag-submit. And then when you want to check if you have your comment bank, you can select or you can simply encode your comments, individual comments to your students if you want for revision, for correcting some misconceptions before you return the assignment for the graded activity. Next, please. Then the next one is the setting. That's the last part of the Google Classroom. Setting, you'll find the class details, class code where you can reset, you can disable, you have the stream. Well, you want to have the options to post, comment. There's the email guardian summary, so you need to turn on the notification. Then at the same time, the Google Meet is here. So if you need to turn off, so students cannot join, you can do it under the setting. And of course, the grading category can be found in the settings. Next, please. Now, one of the key ideas I've learned about blended learning and when shifting toward distance or remote learning is to empower the students to own their learning through choice and voice. It's the idea of creating an environment where students want to learn rather than to learn. We want our students where they can set their own pace, where they can choose their own formats and decide what resources they want to use to accomplish their goals. Next, please. And as I've mentioned, one of the models or teaching strategy that we want to highlight in an online distance learning is a learning playlist. It aims for differentiation to address the students' learning preferences. And because when we give our students the voice and the choice, we help them develop the sense of ownership as they become responsible of their own learning. Next, please. So as teachers, we can give our students a choice and voice by giving them options on how they want to learn. So online distance learning is not about videos. We can include offline, online, tech-based, hands-on activities, provide them resources for virtual and augmented reality experience. So, pwede lahat yun kahit nasa online distance learning tayo. Next, please. Then, one advantage, oh, it's loading. Okay, one of the advantage that learning playlist can offer is its flexibility. It allows the students to work at their own pace, follow a learning path, and give teachers more time for feedback and monitoring of the students' progress. It's not showing, but the video that I'm supposed to share is a Minecraft project of my students where they're explaining the flow of electricity from the alternative energy resource down to the residential houses. So hopefully later we can show that one. Next, please. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the lives of our students in so many different ways. So ngayon, nag-a-adjust pa tayo. Nag-a-adjust yung teachers, mag-a-adjust din yung estudyante. Marami tayong projects na hindi nagawa, hindi natapos noong March. Pero, on the positive side ulit, sabi kasi natin, problema nasa bahay yung bata. And now, it's not going to be something that's different. This home that we're saying it's supposed to be for game or for watching YouTube for students, this is the new normal. This will be their new learning environment, their home. But with a well-designed learning plan, students can still be engaged and empowered even while learning anytime and anywhere they want while they are at home. So that's the positive thing. I'm thinking positive that the students will still be engaged. Okay, next please. So I have here an example of a learning playlist. It can be accomplished, your learning playlist or your module can be accomplished in Google Docs or HyperDocs if you want to see the links and you want it to be very innovative and creative. So this digital document with hyperlinks is very ideal for elementary level. So if you want to provide a learning guide to your students, you can come up with a HyperDocs for them. But if you want to transfer it in a learning management system because you want to organize your materials, then it's so easy to transfer this kind of materials. But you have to take note in a learning playlist. It contains the imperatives, the negotiable, and the options. The imperatives are the required activities. It's mostly on the acquisition goals. And then the negotiables students can choose from the list that you will be providing either offline or online or hands-on. But it's focusing more on making meaning on the lessons that they are having. And then the option is usually the challenging one. It's more of the scaffold for transfer activities, wherein the students will be applying the things that they have learned from the concepts. So those are the things that you'll find in a learning playlist. Next page, please. So if we're going to transfer it in a classwork, you just need to create an assignment. Then all you have to do is to open the Google Docs, your module, you copy it. After copying the instructions, put it there, and then you can put the link. You can get the link from your document also. So it's either you choose from your Google Drive, from your files, from YouTube, or from the link. URL link. Then I'm just copying everything from the imperative. So these are the required. So there you can click the sections for the classes if you're having. So you want it to all your sections are handling, and then you want to check to set the schedule. You want to put the deadlines, and then you need to put the topic as well. So now we have the complete idea. The first one. Then we can reuse the other materials from other classes. So let's say there's the Google Docs. So Google Docs is a good collaborative tool for your students even on in an online distance learning. So pwede natin gamitin. So hindi totoo na hindi na makakapag-collaborate ang estudyante kapag nasa online distance learning. Pwede pa rin. So the next one, I think I'm just completing my learning playlist in there. And okay, so the next slide is showing, just in case you don't want to have all the imperatives, negotiable, and options in different assignments, you can come up with one assignment with all the materials in it. But we have to make sure that this lesson learning playlist contains, again, blended learning, online and offline materials. Next, please. So let's say we're going back to normal come November or December. Then this time, you will not be having the pure online, but when you go back with the face-to-face instruction, then you may implement another learning, blended learning model, which is the station rotation. So you can also put it in your classroom. Next page, please. Or you don't want the station rotation, you want to have the flipped classroom. You can again put it in the Google Classroom, the in-class and the at-home activities. Okay. Next, please. What about unlocking the power of Google Classroom through gamification? Favorite Mr. symbol for gamification. So with ClassCraft, teachers using Google Classroom can motivate their students, getting them to care about behavior and academic performance using ClassCraft. Next, please. Students can view their progress in real time and make their avatar, their themes, their backgrounds part of the Google Classroom interface. And with Quest, the teachers can create different challenges in Google Forms or Google Docs, embed those activities in ClassCraft in a learning playlist format. Actually, nag-enjoy yung estudyante ko dyan. Hindi nila alam, nag-lesson naman talaga kami. It's just in a gamified environment. So, that's another good thing about the Google Classroom. Next, please. Okay, with Google Classroom, students can enjoy and have fun while learning in online distance learning using the playlist of lesson and activities prepared by the teacher. Diba pwede naman natin pasayahin yung online distance learning experience ng mga estudyante natin. It actually depends on the creativity and the resourcefulness of the teachers. Ito yung time na lumalabas yung creativity ng mga teachers. Okay, next please. So going back to our question, the current health crisis has not allowed us to prepare the way we wanted our online classes to be. But there are some instructional methods that we can use to help encourage student engagement when delivering classes remotely. So we can make our teaching productive, collaborative, and meaningful for our students while in online learning by providing them the rich learning experiences where they can have options on how, where, when, what they will learn. They can still work online together, collaborate so that they feel that they are still part of the learning community. Give them opportunities to perform authentic tasks. Students are more likely to be interested in topics that involve them directly. Empower them through choice and voice so they become internally motivated and self-directed. So those are some of the things that I can share with you today. I hope you learned something. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Winnie. Napaka-interesting ng discussion natin. Although, yun nga, parang kaya po natin ito ginagawa sa lahat po ng viewers natin ng Facebook. Dahil nga po today, we are in the middle of this. We want everyone to be on board with this so that education becomes available for all. So ito pong ginagawa natin, this initiative from Globe and from our panel of speakers is something that we can bring in our actual classroom so that we can always have parang an anchor so that our teachers can always have access to these kinds of technology. So for our next speaker, Sir Symbol. Okay, so Sir Symbol will be talking about strategies naman and techniques that he uses in his own classroom. So eventually, ganun din po ang format natin. For our participants, please make sure that if you have questions, you comment on our Facebook Live, and then we'll be able to and we'll try to address your questions later. So take it away, Sir Symbol.
Okay. Hello, a blessed morning to everyone. I am Mr. Symbol Pabellon, educator, Lasallian, and a concerned Filipino. It is with great pleasure and humility that I take this opportunity to share with you, my fellow educators, some of the best practices that my school, De La Salle Santiago, Zobel, has been teaching us and supporting us to do. I will also bank on the discussion that has been laid out by Ms. Winnie. So thank you, Ms. Winnie, for discussing about Google Classroom, the idea of learning playlists, because my discussion will be about learning playlists and online survey forms. Next, please. So, bagamat hindi ko po kayo ngayon personal na makakada upang palad, wow, Filipino. Hayaan niyo po akong magbahagi ng bahagya tungkol sa aking sarili. Ako po ay pangkaraniwang manggagawa rin po, tulad ng karamihan. Kape, mahilig mag-exercise, mahilig mag-games. At tulad nyo rin po, ako po ay worker from home. At tulad po ng maraming gurong nakasubaybay ngayon, I'm also anxious on how to come up with programs that will enable an effective continuity of learning for our students. This is why, allow me to have this opportunity of sharing. Next, please. Gusto ko pong ibahagi sa inyo ang ilan sa mga bagay na kasalukuyang pinaguhusay namin sa Paaralang de la Salle Santiago, Zobel. So for my sharing, my session objectives are the following, as you see it on screen. So it's describe how a learning playlist can be a tool for asynchronous instruction in a remote learning setup, and demonstrate talaga a big word, how to create a learning playlist using an online survey form. Next, please. Sa mga nais pong makita in advance ang learning playlist sample for discussion right now, pwede niyo po itong i-access using the short link that you see on screen. It's bit.ly/lever playlists. You can type that in any browser, and then makita niyo po yung sample. Maaari lamang po napakinggan niyo rin po yung background kung bakit at paano ginawa yung halimbawang learning playlist. Ngunit habang nakikinig po ay maaari din niyo rin po itong ihambing yung mga konseptong babanggit sa mga bagay na makikita nyo dun sa example. So without further ado, I will continue. Next slide, please. Okay, to create a foundation for our discussion, let's recall first some recurring ideas about distance education. So two of these are the usual terms that we often hear: synchronous and asynchronous instruction. So kapag sinabi po nating distance learning muna, di ba? Alam nating may geographical separation ang guro at ang mga mag-aaral na maaring dulot ng iba't ibang kadahilanan. Tulad right now, may pandemic, maari ring ang dahilan ay isang malaking agwat ng oras at lokasyon. Halimbawa, ang guro ay nasa ibang bansa, ang estudyante ay nasa ibang bansa rin, so kailangan ng remote learning or distance education. Maari rin isa itong formal program ng isang university, tulad ng mga open universities as we call them. Okay, at kung ikaw ay guro and you want learning to continue for the students in a remote learning setup, the teacher can facilitate instruction synchronously using live video conferencing, like this right now. This is a live video conference. Or asynchronously, where the learner accomplishes learning tasks within various times within the day, and not necessarily supervise yung student ng teacher. Halimbawa po ng asynchronous instruction, kaya nagpapasalamat kami kay Ms. Winnie, discuss niya, is yung pag-accomplish ng isang learning playlist. Fine po. That's asynchronous po. Next, please. So in addition to our recurring distance education principles, we also have UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, and differentiated instruction. So we have to take note that when the teacher creates learning opportunities for his or her class, the teacher can incorporate the Universal Design for Learning. Ano po ba ito? Simply speaking, when you create your lesson, we have to consider the different realities that can affect how our students go through the experience. In a remote learning setup, maraming realities, right? There are families with no internet connection. Okay, there can be families with a lot of children, lahat nag-aaral, tapos the siblings are sharing with just one computer. And then we also have learners with special needs. So paano yun kapag remote learning? So we have to consider those different realities when we design our lesson. Hence, Universal Design for Learning. If we will want to incorporate UDL, let's think about how to address those. Okay, a similar principle will be to incorporate differentiated instruction. Thank you, Ms. Winnie, for starting that idea a while ago. Alam po natin ang mga students natin ay may kanya-kanyang talino, may kanya-kanyang learning styles. And they have different needs as well. May alam po natin yun, di ba? Merong visual, may auditory, may kinesthetic. Ako, more on visual ako. As such, there is a need to vary and differentiate our instruction and materials to address these concerns. Hence, incorporating UDL and differentiated instruction. Next, please. Okay, this leads us to a method to incorporate the mentioned principles. Okay, let's explore how a learning playlist can do that. Yun po. So alam na natin yung remote learning or distance education. Alam natin yung mga recurring ideas. So paano na yung learning playlist ma-address yung mga prinsipyo na yun? So ano po ba ang learning playlist? So similar to your usual, ihambing natin siya sa music playlist. So similar to your usual music playlist, a learning playlist has a sequence or series of materials and instructions carefully designed by the teacher. So kung music playlist, merong series ng music. Okay, if your music playlist is in Spotify or Apple Music, a learning playlist can be facilitated using an authoring software, such as a learning management system, a website making the tool, or even survey forms, which is our main focus today. So your music playlist can be designed to suit the taste or the genre of the one listening. So pwede ring OPM, foreign mix, yung ibang music, di ba? Sa Spotify may integrated music video pa. And then sometimes may nag-appear na facts and lyrics. Okay, in the same manner, a learning playlist can be designed to address various student needs by integrating multimedia and varied instructions. Tulad ng nabanggit ni Ms. Winnie kanina. Okay, next please. Okay, so again, based on what Ms. Winnie has established a while ago, this modality works because it can allow for the personalization of learning anytime, anywhere, disrupting several aspects of learning such as path. Halimbawa, kung ako palabasan na estudyante, si teacher binigyan ako ng iba't ibang materials to learn that will lead naman to the same acquisition of knowledge. Akong palabasan na estudyante na mabagal pa yung internet sa bahay, for example, I can just simply choose to just read the materials and not watch the video lectures anymore. So I have disrupted the path of learning. And then, pace of learning can also be personalized for the students. For example, yung mga advanced na estudyante, hindi na kailangang hintayin, halimbawa yung mga iba niyang kaklase, para mag-proceed sa next part ng learning playlist. Okay, the student can proceed at his own pace, at his own speed. The place of learning is disrupted as well. Ang learning playlist pwedeng sagutan sa bahay, sagutan sa school, kung pwede nang pumasok sa school, pwedeng sagutan sa laptop, sa cellphone. At kung meron kang offline materials that can be printed, you can print it in advance and read it. Okay, so learning can take place anywhere, lalo na sa technology that we have right now. And of course, time, which is affected by the previous aspects mentioned. So, ibig sabihin po nito, a well-designed learning playlist can become an asynchronous tool for learning that can lead to differentiation of instruction, and it can incorporate universal design for learning, as we have mentioned. Next slide, please. So tips, ano po bang pwede kong ilagay sa learning playlist kung mag-design ako? So to give more direction and purpose to our learners as they accomplish the learning playlist, let's make them aware of the learning goals or the learning targets. So ilagay po natin sa pinaka-umpisa pa lang, this is what you will learn when you accomplish this learning playlist. And then, we will encourage more learner agency because of that. We can also propose a reasonable timeline while providing for flexibility of output submissions. May mabuting epekto rin po kung gagawin natin conversational yung instructions within our learning playlist. Parang love letter ng mahal mo, di ba? Ramdam mong kinakausap ka sa sulat, kaya masarap basahin. Establish ang presence ng mahal mo sa love letter. So ang conversational instructions in the learning playlist enables the instructor to gain more presence in the learning of the students. Next slide, please. So what are other things that we can consider? So you can consider adding similar learning acquisition materials and tasks. Pero, as Ms. Winnie mentioned a while ago, we can provide offline and online instructions and material. This addresses universal design for learning, as we have explained a while ago. Differentiation through choices can also be achieved, tulad po ng nabanggit ni Ms. Willie kanina, by distinguishing the required and providing optional and even negotiable tasks. So ang ganda pong framework to, no? May required, may negotiable, saka may optional. Hence, we are encouraging student choice. At syempre po, to allow our learners to reflect on their learning, let's provide guide questions and feedback within the playlist to give the learners the idea if they are really learning or not. Finally, another suggestion will be the learner's evaluation of the playlist itself after niyang matapos. Importante naman yun sa atin bilang teacher. So kasi feedback yun for us to improve how we design our learning playlist, right? Next slide, please. So paano ba tayo gagawa ng learning playlist? Maraming paraan. Maraming tools na pwedeng gamitin. So here are some recommended tools that we can use. One is Guru Learning, and then another one is Schoology, but those are not the focus of our discussion today. Okay, we will focus on another one. Pero I have a proposal if you want to discuss those. We can talk in private or you can go to us. I'll explain later. Okay, so this means, we have other tools. So pwede rin mga authoring software as long as it's capable of multimedia, integrating multimedia and text sets. And mag-a-allow siya ng hyperlinking. So pwede pong maging learning playlist yun. And of course, yung example natin today, the one I gave you a while ago, for the session will be using survey forms as long as it can do branching. Next slide, please. So remind ko lang po ulit, pwede nyo pong i-access yung sample learning playlist natin sa bit.ly/lever playlist. Yan, specially made for you. Okay, next slide, please. So ano ba yung mga skills that we want to consider if we want to create a learning playlist out of a simple Google Forms na alam ko marami sa atin halos alam na kung paano gamitin yan. I'm assuming. Kasi I see it as a very popular tool. And also notable yung number 3, integrating or linking multimedia. Bakit kailangan resumable yung that's number 2 pala. Bakit kailangan resumable yung response? Again, UDL. We want na personalize yung learning. Kaya dapat, kapag tapos magsagot ng estudyante, he has the option to stop for a while and then resume when he is ready. Or again, we are thinking about the different realities at home. Pwedeng mahina yung internet, pwedeng hindi pa siya talaga ready sagutan, nagkakagulo sa bahay, those stuff. Okay? So mamaya pag-usapan naman natin yung branching as we go to the 4th skill. Next slide, please. Okay, so this might just be a skill review for you, yung unang-una. So pero if you go to forums.google.com, you can create a new blank template and then you can intuitively play around and then put your form title, your questions as the video shows it. And then Google Forms, limited siya pero free. Pero it can allow you to generate multiple choice questions, multiple correct answer questions, and even open response questions. Marami nang magagawa yan actually. Okay, when you're done with your basic form content, you can click send and then you can send it to your students through email or through a shareable link. Yun po yung basic skill na paggawa ng form and then pag-send. Next slide, please. Okay, enabling resumable responses. So the settings here will be very easy for this one. So you just click the gear icon on the upper right-hand corner and then make sure to click limit to one response and edit after submit. And the combination of those settings will allow the respondents to save his or her answers in the form and then just resume answering. If you can check if your form will allow resumable responses by filling it out yourself and then submitting a response and then checking if you can still resume what you have answered when you try to click the link again. Fine po. So again, dapat resumable para sa isang learning playlist. Next slide, please. Okay, 3rd skill is to know how to place multimedia and links inside your form. So for Google Forms, there is a right sidebar with buttons that will allow you to add text cards and multimedia cards. It's important to note as well that when you add the video, or an image as a peripheral for learning, there should be clear instructions accompanying it to guide the learners. Tulad po na pinapakita, bawat multimedia nilalagyan ng instructions. You can directly add YouTube videos and images from a Google search, and all within the Google Forms environment. But what is more useful is that you can add links within your text cards to guide your students to visit other sites for learning as they accomplish the form. Okay, you can also add links to documents such as a PDF or a PowerPoint saved in your online drive. Next, please. Okay, pag-usapan natin yung branching. Ano ba yun? Bakit siya importante sa isang survey form at sa paggawa ng learning playlist? So basically, branching in a survey is will allow your respondents to choose and then skip. So again, we are encouraging option. Skip some questions for a while and then return to them right after. This can create different routes or paths in your survey, which may be utilized pag gumawa tayo ng isang learning playlist. And of course, that encourages personalization of learning. Okay, next slide, please. So sample setup ng isang learning playlist. Pwede namang linear. So first part, second part, third part, dire-diretso hanggang matapos. So a learning playlist can have a homepage, for example, tas may 3 parts, and then meron kang save and exit page. Okay, these are all sections. So ang tawag po sa mga usual na online forms, they are sections or divisions in a survey para hindi isang buong diretso yung Google Forms na so pagkahaba-haba. Okay. The branching in this model, ito linear, is also sequential and can only allow the students to move forward or backward in the form. Pero what if, next slide please. So what if you actually have a sort of a table of contents that will allow your students to navigate? Okay, the learning playlist. Okay, this is the model taken by the Lever learning playlist that I've shared with you. So meron siyang navigator. Okay, next please. Parang may na-insert na video. Okay, to do sections and branching, okay, first you have to make sure that your very first section has a multiple choice question with the learning playlist parts and save and exit page is the options. Okay, next, create sections by clicking the bottom button in the right bar menu. And then name your sections similar to the name of your playlist parts, including the save and exit section. So next, you can go back to the very first section sa taas with the multiple choice questions and options. And then, ang idea, we want to link those multiple choice options dun sa mga sections natin. So it will be just easier to just follow what the video shows us. Yan, tapos na ba? Hindi ko nakikita. Okay, next please. Okay, and there you have it. Ito pala yung last slide ko. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Mag-plug lang ako ng konti. That might be quite a handful. Siguro medyo mahirap din sundan para sa iba. So if you are interested for more PD training, LaSalle Zobel has a program called Spark Ed. And you may visit our Facebook page and our website for more details. Thank you very much and God bless everyone.
Yay! Thank you, Teacher Sim. So, for our next speaker, pero bago pala tayo mapunta sa next speaker, plug ko rin tong si Sparked. So, we will be partnering with the LaSalle Zobel in order to deploy a new training program for our teachers in the next couple of months. So, hindi lang po tayo in terms of our announcements, but we will be seeking for nomination to mga partner schools namin. And we will be giving away Spark Ed slots for free doon po sa mga teachers natin, most especially in the public schools, so that we'll be able to help you in onboarding you to the new normal and making sure that you integrate technology. Kasi at the end of the day, we're doing this for the education system and we're doing this for our kids. So next is Diana. She will talk about instructional design. Diana is a former colleague when I used to teach in the higher education sa Salle-College of Saint Benilde. So lahat po kami dito ay mga educators as well. And we're very happy to be on the same platform now discussing whatever we have imagined a few years back. Kasi parang dati, ito ay mga panaginip lang namin. Now we're sharing everything to the rest of the world. So take it away, Diana.
All right. So good morning po. My name is Diana, as they said. I am the Instructional Design Associate of the Salle-College of Saint Benilde. I work under the EdTech office. And natutuwa po ako, bago tayo magsimula ng session ko, natutuwa po ako na marinig yung mga sinabi nila Miss Willie tsaka nila ni Sir Symbol. Kasi even though hindi kami nag-usap about yung content, no, similar yung theme natin. Pare-pareho yung essence nung mga teaching practices natin. So nakakatuwa po. Ang akin naman po, ang context ko ay since I'm coming from the higher ed, alam po namin na napakahirap po for a lot of our educators to transition to online learning and much more sa full distance. And so, mamaya ko nakukwento yung ginagawa namin sa Benilde kasi sayang oras. Pero my session will be focusing on creating content for flexible learning. Kung kanina po pinakita ni Miss Winnie, yung Google Classroom, it's para siyang learning management system na rin, no? Na libre, tama? Basta meron kayong Google for Education na account. So you can put everything there. You can create your lesson there. You can have your virtual environment in Google Classroom. And yung pinakita naman ni Sir Symbol, yung Google Forms, so pinakita niya yung learning playlist. Pero yung Google Forms din, no, pwede siyang gamitin for quiz, pwede siyang gamitin for mga exercises, hindi lang siya talaga survey. In my case naman po, ang papakita ko sa inyo ngayon is Google Slides. We'll focus on that today kasi yun yung medyo available for everyone. Although you can create your content on other presentation slides or other apps that you might want to use. So for example, kung nag-keynote kayo, kung Mac ang gamit nyo, kung PowerPoint for Microsoft, or Haiku Deck, although may bayad na si Haiku Deck ngayon, pero maganda rin yun, and other applications, no? So next slide, please. Okay, so like I said, we'll be focusing on a tech demo first ngayon, and we'll be featuring Google Slides. Pero si Google Slides, I'll be featuring 3 other applications that you can use in tandem with Google Slides. Tsaka fully integratable po talaga siya sa Google. Si Slides Carnival, si Unsplash, tsaka si The Noun Project. Si Slides Carnival po ay free. When I say free, ibig po sabihin nito ay under the Creative Commons license po siya. Si Slides Carnival, si Unsplash, tsaka si The Noun Project, lahat po yan under the Creative Commons license. Ano pong ibig sabihin nun? Meaning, anyone can go online, use their materials, download for free, walang repercussion, walang intellectual property crime na nagaganap. So, bakit po Slides Carnival, bakit Unsplash, bakit The Noun Project, pati na lang Google Images? Kasi po, napapansin din po namin, no, sa even sa higher ed, or especially sa higher ed, pag gumagawa ng content yung mga teachers natin, when they download images from Google Images, they don't check the use rights. May licenses po yun, at importante po na chine-check natin yun. Yun lang, walang awareness karamihan sa atin. We're not doing this on purpose. We're trying to do what's best for our kids in a short amount of time that we have. Pero, yun na nga po, we need to start being conscious of intellectual property rights, use rights, copyright. So, pag ginamit natin sila, Slides Carnival, sila Unsplash, sila Noun Project, lahat yan, Creative Commons na siya. So, wala na tayong i-worry about infringement. Okay? So, balik po tayo dun sa slide. Okay? Si Slides Carnival po ay templates, free templates. Bakit tayo gagamit ng templates? Kasi karamihan po sa atin nahihirapan pagdating sa pag-layout ng graphics. Hindi tayo lahat graphic designer. At saka ang tendency po, pagka hindi tayo gumamit ng template or gumamit tayo ng template na existing, yung sobrang luma na ng itsura niya, outdated na siya, hindi na siya palatable sa ating mga estudyante. Tsaka ang tendency po, wait, hold on, wag muna yung video, please, thank you. Balik po muna tayo. Okay, pause lang, yan. So, kapag gumamit po tayo ng templates, ang kagandahan nun is we have, medyo wala. Sila templates po, no, yung mga nandiyan sa Slides Carnival, they tell us how much information. Pinapakita na nila sa layout kung okay, dapat ganitong kadaming text lang ilalagay mo, wag sobrang dami. I will discuss a little bit more later on kung ano yung implication nun dun sa learner natin, terms of cognitive load, no. Pero sige, mag-start na po muna tayo. So let's start the demo, please. Thank you. So we will go to Unsplash first. So, bakit hindi Google Slides? Unsplash muna. Sorry, not Unsplash. Slides Carnival. Sorry, Slides Carnival. Doon muna tayo. Hanap muna tayo ng template bago tayo gumawa ng presentation. Okay? So, hanapin po natin si slidescarnival.com. Ang maganda po sa kanya is you can find the templates sorted by themes or by colors. Ayan. And then, ayan siya. And then if you find something that you like, ayan, by theme or by color, and if you find something that you like, just click on the title, and you'll be shown a preview of the slide deck, of the complete slide deck. So, kunyari ito, si Ken. Gusto ko siya. Okay, appropriate siya for my students, kunyari. So, I can go, scroll down, look at the previews, ayan. So, pwede ko makita yung itsura ng slide decks kung okay na siya sa akin o hindi. Pansin nyo, meron siyang option to download for PowerPoint or download for Google Slides. Either way, it will work really fine. Na-try ko na siya yung for PowerPoint. When you download that, it opens seamlessly. Si Google Slides din, okay. Ang sinelect natin si Google Slides, okay. It gives you a preview, okay. Habang naglo-load siya, you can also check the menu. Ayan, yan yung mga laman ng mga slide deck. And when we're good, click on Use Template. When you click on Use Template, it will open up in Google Slides immediately. Ngayon, ako po ay naka-login sa Google account ko. So, hindi na ako hinihingan ng login. Pero for other people, pag di kayo naka-login, magla-login muna kayo. Okay? So, nag-load na po siya. Then, you can customize this to however way you want. Ngayon, si Google Slides po, yung mga features niya, basic presentation slide deck features yan. So, things that you find in PowerPoint, in Keynote, in Haiku Deck, makikita nyo rin dyan, no? So, explore nyo lang po. Fairly simple siya to use. Pero ang i-highlight ko lang din po is just some technical things. Like, for example, okay, I want this slide instead of the other one. So, I'll drag up, okay? So, na-reorder ko na agad. And then, I will personalize. Kunwari, ayan. Yan. Hello, I'm Diana Elisherago. Kunwari, I love presentations. Kunwari, I love giving presentations. Kunwari lang. Okay. Then that's my real email address. If you need to reach me, if you have questions, go ahead, email me. Okay? Pero yung picture, that's not my hand. And I don't want that. Okay? So I want my students to see who I am. So I can upload an image through that, yeah, or I can just simply drag and drop a file. Okay? And then, tada! Ayan ang picture ko. Ayan. Payat ako dyan. Okay. And then just resize. Okay. Remember when you resize, you drag from the corners para hindi na distort ang mga images. Ayan. Pero gusto ko, nasa loob siya ng bilog. Ayoko na ma-delete yung bilog, sayang. So, ipapasok ko siya dun sa circle. So, I will select the image again. And then, tada! My picture is there. So I can delete the old one, and then I can just simply resize, move it around within the frame of the template. Explore nyo lang yan. Madali lang yan. Kapa-kapa. Okay. So, apart from being able to upload our own images, okay, pansinin nyo po, sinabi ko kanina, yung slide deck, pansin nyo, hindi siya punong-puno ng text or punong-puno ng images because meron tayong tinatawag na cognitive load na we don't want to add to the cognitive burden of our students. Iniintindi na nga nila yung laman, sobrang dami pang nangyayari or sobrang dami pang binabasa. So pag maraming text, mabigat sa mata, mabigat psychologically, hindi rin sila parang willingly matututo. Ganon. Begrudgingly ang kanilang learning. Ayan. So, ayan. So, for example, ayan, yung text, mag-i-edit ako. Pansin nyo, same lang din yan. Parang any text editor, okay? Yan, I am learning, I'm still learning, sabi ni Michelangelo. At lahat po tayo, we are still learning. Yan. Okay, pwede natin i-bold yan. Mas malaki. Okay, edit lang natin ng konti. Okay, resize lang ng konti. Ayan. So, ang next nito ay, okay, so while pwede kayong mag-download or manood sa YouTube even kung paano yung mga different tools ng Google Slide. Hindi po kakasya sa oras natin na i-demo ko lahat ito, no? Pero ipakita ko lang po some of the important features. For example, renaming your slide. When you rename your slide, make sure po na may naming convention kayo, no? Para mabilis hanapin, mabilis maintindihan din ng bata kung ano yung laman ng presentation ninyo. And then organize your files into folders. Kung wala pang folder, create a new folder and then move it there. Okay, para pag nag-integrate din kayo sa Google Classroom, mabilis po hanapin. Ayan. All right. And then you can also prioritize by clicking on the star. So, naka-priority siya. Mas mabilis siyang hanapin pag marami na kayong files. Ngayon, punta po tayo dito sa file. Okay? May mga important features lang akong kailangan i-highlight. So, for example, pag nakita ninyo yung download as, napakarami niyang file types na posibleng i-download as. Kasi kailangan natin consider yung context ng mga estudyante natin. No, online ba sila, offline? Nahihirapan ba sila kapag full wait, hold on. Pause please. Okay, pause muna. Thank you. Okay. Nahihirapan ba sila kapag naka-online sila the entire time? So you have to give them an option. Download as PDF ba to para pwede nilang aralin on their own? Sandali lang sila mag-online. Pwede silang mag-aral kahit walang internet. Or ready for printing, anong format ang pinakamaganda. So yun yung importante. And then also, yung kanina yung version history, bakit importante yung version history? Pag nagkamali tayo, pwede tayong bumalik, pwede nating balikan yung nakaraan. Ayan. Kung kanina sabi ni Symbol, importante parang love letter. Diba? O ngayon, parang love life din. Sometimes, maganda ring balikan yung nakaraan para nakita natin kung may pagkakamali ba tayo? Gusto natin yung noon, better yon. Ayan. Tapos maganda rin po yan kapag nagko-collaborate tayo with our fellow teachers. Kasi nakakabaliw kung puro tayo lang gagawa ng content natin. We need to start collaborating then as instructors. So maaring, for example, if you're within a group of teachers who teach the same content or same subjects, baka pwedeng mag-share kayo, mag-collaborate kayo on content creation para hindi rin kayo mamatay sa paggawa ng content. Ayun. Tapos yung nasa slide, going back to the video, pinakita natin yung aspect ratio. Always, ang i-maintain na po natin is 16:9 na aspect ratio. Aspect ratio means yung size po nung frame. Kapag mga 4:3, ano po yan, parang masyadong putot. Napuputol yung screen, may itim-itim, sayang. So, i-maximize natin siya 16:9. Ayan. And then, when we talked about collaborating kanina, so, yan, yung share, okay, you can adjust the access of certain people. Do you want to share it to the public, to the world, to just your collaborators? How much access do you want to give them? Do you want them to view lang, be able to comment, or really even edit? Ayan po, no? So, you can customize, look at the advanced settings, and then pwede po anytime, pwede niyong balikan yan, palitan, para kunyari, tapos na, okay, wala nang gagalaw, no more editing features. Ayan. Okay. Ngayon, nakita niyo naman, no, meron tayong mga slides na, okay, parang one big picture lang ang laman. Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na, if you want a big impact, use big images, big pictures. Okay, so I want to put in a picture. Hindi yung mukha ko, pero something else. Okay, nag-download na ako earlier ng isang image that I want to use. Okay, I downloaded it from Unsplash. Okay, so yan, kinlik drag ko lang siya dyan. Okay, and then I need to resize para magsakto siya dun sa frame. Always remember to drag from the corners, never from the sides or from the top or bottom lang para hindi ma-distort yung image. Okay, and then sasaktohin lang natin siya. Ayan, papatungan na natin siya. And then, of course, lalagyan natin ng text on top. Okay, again, when you have a large image like this, make sure your text is readable wherever you place it. So, ginamit ko yung text na, yan, yung white and blue. Unfortunately, hindi mo makita masyado yung blue dyan. So, you have to be conscious of the contrasts of the colors that you use. Wag puro masasakit sa mata. Meron po akong prof dati, puro neon ang ginamit, masakit sa mata, wala akong naintindihan. Sumakit lang ulo ko. Wag po nating ulitin. Okay? So, kung meron kang dark background, use white. Pag meron ka namang, or you want contrast, so use white, use a light and a darker color. So yan, i-adjust ko yan. Magiging darker yan kasi hindi mabasa yung blue. Yung white, wala tayong problema. Okay? Then you can also adjust the placement. You can adjust the size. Okay? Mabilis na yan. Kayang-kaya nyo yan. Ayan. So you want a big impact? Use a big image. Okay. So again, we are against cluttering our presentation slides. Kung marami kang sasabihin, break it down into different slides, into many slides. Mas magaan pa rin po siya kahit maraming slides siya, no? Mas magaan siya i-consume. And this is true not just for kids, kahit sa adults po, sa adult learners. So sa college, ganyan ang rule namin. Tinuturuan namin sila, wag mag-copy-paste ng text. Simplify. Ayan. And then this one, again, no, yung image, papalitan ko siya using the same image. Ayan, replace image. Ayan, using the same image. Ayan. Then, tada! Andyan na siya. Okay. Pero nagtataka siguro kayo, no? Ayan. Saan ko ginuha? Sa Unsplash, yung image. Hindi yan akin. So, I went to unsplash.com. And then, very straightforward lang po siya, no? So, all you have to do is type in your keywords and then it will generate so many images. Yung mga nag-contribute po dito ng images, mga professional photographers po sila. Actually, open po siya for everyone to contribute images too. So, kahit tayo, pwede tayong magbigay. Pero makikita nyo yung quality ng mga shots, no? Talagang professional yung mga images. So, kung ako, favorite ko si Unsplash. So, dyan ko nakuha. Ayun. Yan. Dyan ko nakuha yan. So, just click the image that you want. Okay? And then, sa baba niya, makikita nyo may mga suggestions pa sila, no? Yung parang same theme, probably. And then, when you're good, just click download. It will have a pop-up saying na ito ay gawa ni ganyan. And then if you notice, nagda-download na siya, tapos yung file name niya contains the name of the contributor. So this allows us or reminds us kung sino yung pasasalamatan natin. Now, you don't have to pay for this. You don't even have to cite the original contributor, pero it's very, very good practice to do that. Lalo na nasa academe tayo, no? And then, kanina nakita niyo si Miss Winnie gumamit ng mga icons. So, saan ba siya kumuha? Tayo, pwede tayong kumuha sa The Noun Project. Ayan. Ayan. So, lagay natin yung keywords. Ako, yung kids lang din ang ginamit ko. Ayoko na mag-isip. Okay, kids. It will generate so many different types, no? At ang maganda dito kay Noun Project, meron tayong yung search based on the name of the yung tag nung image or pwedeng by collections. So makikita nyo merong, yan, medyo sabog-sabog yung itsura, di ba? Kasi galing sa iba-ibang collection yan. Pinagsama-sama lang niya because they all are found under kids. Ayan. Pero, let's say, okay, ito yung gusto ko. Ayan. Again, straightforward din siya. Merong, by the way, may pro si Noun Project, pero meron din siyang basic. Okay, basic lang tayo, huwag tayo magbayad. Si pro, pag nag-pro ka yan, pwede nyo palit-palitan yung kulay, lagyan ng background, okay. Pero that's for how many dollars per year? Ayan. Wag na lang. Okay lang. Tapos, When you click download, ayan, dahil basic lang tayo, tatanggalin niya lahat ng editing na ginawa mo kasi kukunin mo lang yung basic file. Ayan. And it will ask you, anong gusto mo? PNG, SVG file format. By the way, yung dalawang po yan, maganda sila, no? I always save my images in PNG if possible. Ayan, wala siyang background. Kasi sila yung mga lossless compression images. Meaning, pag JPEG kasi, usually pag dinownload natin, maliit yung file, nagpipixelate siya pagka nilakihan natin. Pero pag PNG, SVG, hindi. Ayan, tas mas magaan. So yon. So you can also upload the image there. The vectors, the icons to your slides. Just click and drag. Wala na po tayong problema. Okay, so that's the end of the demo. But before tayo matapos, let me just go quickly dun sa mga things that are non-negotiable for us sa EdTech office. Okay, so next slide please. We have to remember that when we talk about instructional design, especially for online learning or kahit hindi online learning, instructional design in general, it's not just about the technology that you use. Okay, next slide please. In fact, we recommend that you follow the TPAC model. I don't know kung familiar po sa inyo siya. It's by Kohler, 2006, no? But it's basically saying that when we create our instructional materials, kahit ano pa yan, we think about three things, the balance of three things: content, pedagogy, and technology. Okay? So ano yung considerations natin? Next slide, please. Kung content, yung kanina na-mention na to kanina nila Miss Winnie tsaka nila Sir Symbol, no? Yung iba lang yung terms natin pero yun din yun, yung mga need to know versus good to know. Paulit-ulit man po siya, medyo nakakasuka na, pero importante siya kasi kapag online learning po, napapansin namin, ako guilty rin ako of this before, no? Pag online learning, there's a tendency for us to overteach. Kasi lahat pwede mo isalpak online eh. Bahala ka, sige, aralin mo lahat yan. Lalo na sa college, just me. Pero, isipin naman natin yung learners natin on their end. Ang hirap po kasi is kapag we're teaching just to cover the syllabus or to cover the curriculum, nakakalimutan natin yung sino ba tinuturuan natin at bakit tayo nagtuturo. It's for our students, no? So we have to consider, okay, how much time should they devote into studying per week? Wag naman yung malaki ka na, kaya mo yan. Or dapat ganito ka. Mahirap yung dapat. Iba-iba po yung konteksto ng mga learners natin, iba-iba yung mga struggles nila, lalo na ngayon wala sila sa physical classroom, hindi natin na-observe kung ano yung mga manifestations ng mga problems nila. Marami dyan may anxieties, tapos hindi nila alam na may anxiety sila. Tapos nagma-manifest na lang in different kinds of behavior. So isipin din natin yon, how much time should they devote to studying? Etong content na to, ilang minuto lang ba to dapat? Dapat kaya niyang maaral to or mabasa to or mapanood ito in, let's say, just 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So, kung ganoon, how do I do that? Pag-isipan natin ng maigi, no? Tapos, pag-isipan din natin how to chunk, how to scaffold our lessons. Kaya kanina po, yung slides, parang ang daming slides, pero puputol-putulin natin siya para mas mabilis siyang i-digest, no? At ma-process nung bata. Alright, next slide please. Okay, in terms of pedagogy naman, no, these are some of the basic questions lang. So, how do they learn best? So, alamin natin, ano ba ang preferences ng mga bata? Let's look at research. If you want to, you can look around for studies on effectiveness ng mga teaching materials, no? For example, ako po, I used to teach English. So, I still look at ngayon kasi full-time na ako sa instructional design. But I used to teach English. So, every now and then, I still look at studies on language acquisition and language learning and reading. So, sabi nila, yung mga students, they say, mas mabilis daw sila magbasa kapag digital. Yung reading rate nila mas mabilis. Pero yung comprehension naman ang nagsasuffer. Hindi natin, di ba, nakikita yon. So, okay, hindi porket, okay, mas mabilis ka, ito, kaya mo i-digest, kaya mo basahin in 5 minutes. Ibig sabihin in 5 minutes, naintindihan mo na siya? Hindi. Bigyan nyo sila ng time na, okay, ulit-ulitin siya. Or tapos mag-highlight kayo ng words sa mga presentations ninyo para maging salient siya. Tanggalin nyo yung mga hindi kailangan. Yung mga ganoon. no? Tapos, ayan, uso ngayon is multimedia. So, consider nyo, do I need to create a video for this content? Do I need to create, or infographics na lang? Or text na lang ba? Okay na siya, babasahin na lang nila. Or better ba, kunwari, for example, presentation pero may audio, may voice recording ng teacher para mas may connection, mas may engagement. Or better ba podcast? Kapag ka nag-uusap kayo nung mga colleagues nyo, parang casual na, parang ito ginagawa natin pero walang face. 'Di ba? Kasi may mga auditory learners tayo. Or for example, ako, busy ako doing other things, but I can still learn because I like to listen lang while I'm doing other things with my hands. These are things that we have to ask, no? Yan. So how should information be presented? Ayan. Tapos yun na-mention din kanina ni Sir Symbol yung about universal design. Sa Benilde din po, we are especially conscious of this. Kasi we are saying na inclusive kami, so we really have to be inclusive in practice, no? We have a school for the deaf. We have the Benilde Deaf School for younger kids. We have students with with learning needs, special learning needs. Meron din mga may physical disabilities. Tapos consider din natin yung lack of access nila sa device tsaka sa internet. So iisipin natin lahat ng possible modalities, no? For example, nag-synchronous tayo ngayon. Pag meron kang estudyante na hindi maka-online, dapat may recording yung synchronous session ninyo. Or kung wala, 'di ba, or even then medyo parang OA daw po ito, pero ito talaga yung best practice. Meron ka ng recording ng synchronous session, may transcript ka pa, pwedeng basahin, 'di ba? Pwedeng i-download, mag-highlight sila dyan ng notes, ayan. Tapos kung pwede pa nga daw po yung mga videos natin, ayan, may subtitles. Lagyan natin ng effort, subtitle natin lahat yan. Medyo matagal gawin yun, pero worth it siya. Okay. And then, ayan, so, you know, how will the information be consumed? Tapos, yung kanina na-mention din ni Symbol, yung gamification. Hindi po exempted ang mga young adults at adult learners from wanting games, from wanting awards, kahit na virtual awards lang, no? So, kami po, swerte kami na meron kaming learning management system, si Big Sky, which is powered by Brightspace. That's why we're partnered with Globe. Pero meron po siyang nakasama doon na awards tool. So, pwede kaming mag-award ng badges, certificates, ayan. Kahit puro kalokohan lang yung awards mo, basta nakakatuwa siya, nakaka-motivate siya, it's up to you how to design them, no? Ayan. So, pag-iisipan natin all these things when we're designing instructional materials. Next slide, please. Okay. So, in terms of technology naman, ayan, kanina nag-demo na tayo ng Google Slides, pero isipin din natin, okay, what's available to me? Baka hindi maganda yung connection ko sa bahay, sa internet, so baka hindi rin okay mag-Google Slides. Anong device ang meron ako at anong meron dun sa device? So, for example, meron ako, Keynote, may Keynote ako. So, at minamaximize ko, hinahanap ko lahat ng iba-ibang apps dito sa Apple, kung anong pwede kong gamitin na libre. Diba? Sa Microsoft, napakarami din yan. Pwede nyo gamitin all in tandem with each other. Yan. Tapos, is support available to me? Kapag hindi tayo masyadong techie, marunong ba tayong maghanap ng sagot sa mga tanong natin? Meron ba tayong malalapitan? Importante din po yun na meron din tayong support system, no, as teachers. And then, of course, the ever pressing question of how much time do I have and how much time do I need to create my instructional materials? Kung bukas na yan, wag tayong masyadong ambisyoso, no? Gawin lang nating simple, basta andun lahat ng importante. Tapos, next time na tayo magpaganda ng mga presentations natin. Ayan. So, next slide, please. Bibilisan ko na, sorry. Next slide. Okay. So, nasabi nga kanina na that this global pandemic is forcing us to change how and what we learn and teach. So, we need to adapt really quickly. Pero wag nating kakalimutan, now, there are still things that has not changed. Next, please. So what has not changed? The fundamental truths of human learning will not change. Okay? For example, next slide, please. Learning is cooperative and collaborative. Forever yan. Learning is a social construct. No? So it's intrinsically both cooperative and collaborative in nature. And we learn best when we're able to negotiate meanings with other people. So we have to maintain engagement online then. Next slide, please. Learning is emotional as well as intellectual. Tandaan po natin yun, no? Now, we learn best when we personally feel safe, when we feel supported, and we feel heard. So, you remember, tandaan natin yun. And then the third is, next slide, please. Learning is a consequence of experience. So, experiential ang learning. You learn, for example, you learn not to play with fire when you get your first burn. Or you learn that a knife, hindi lang siya basta sharp, pero it's a dangerous tool because when you get your first cut. So, pwede lang sabihin sa'yo, pero hindi siya magiging salient until na-experience mo siya. So, we have to be careful of how we design the learning experience of our students then in an online classroom, no? So, yun lang po. And then, last slide. Okay? So, nag-evolve na po ang role ng teachers. So, as educators, we have to change with the tide. So, we evolve the role that we play in our students' lives. Hindi lang tayo nagtuturo. We are also mentors. We're also called to facilitate their learning. And we're also called to design their learning experience. So, yun lang po. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Teacher Diana. Thank you, Teacher Winnie, and thank you, Teacher Sim. So, sobrang dami nating napag-discussan today. And I think our teachers are really looking forward to parang answers dito sa mga questions na to. First question pala, si Miss Winnie, nag-usap na kami kanina. Would you say that online learning is applicable also to young learners? Kunwari grade 1 or preschool. Can you briefly answer that? Miss Winnie, you are... Okay. I cannot hear Miss Winnie. One more, Miss Winnie. Hello?
Okay.
Miss Diana?
Yes.
Can learning while we're waiting for Miss Winnie to fix the audio. Let's talk about the online learning for younger learners. For grade 1, say for example, possible for online learning. Kasi yun yung isa sa mga major problem.
Okay, medyo matindi lang yung feedback. Pero yeah, I got the question. Para sa akin kasi there is nothing impossible, no, with online learning. It's how we design the lessons for the younger kids. So talagang we just have to understand, okay, pag bata, let's see, ang attention span. So ano ba? Baka hindi learning management system ang kailangan nila, hindi slides, hindi presentation, 'di ba? Ang kailangan nila is something that they can interact with. So ano ba? Pwede bang videos uploaded to YouTube? Pwede 'yun. Kasi yun naman nakikita kong usual na ginagawa nila. Pero you make sure that the lessons are integrated into the interactive aspect of your materials.
How about you, Sir Symbol? Ano yung take nyo doon sa e-learning for younger kids?
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So, for younger kids daw, e-learning, anong take nyo doon? Do you think this is going to be possible given na yung situation natin ngayon? By August, mag-o-open ang school year and we need to, of course, include everyone. So, for grade 1 students or for high school students, pag high school kasi medyo madali dahil you already have a grasp of what technology is. So, paano kapag younger kids?
Kapag younger kids, I think I will have to agree with Miss Diana. It will have to be discussed first by the institution. Ano yung mga needs ng mga younger learners nila, contextualized to the, kasi iba-iba yan, depende sa institution. And then kapag younger nga, diba, there is a need for more interactivity. And definitely, kailangan ng support ng parents for
Yes,
younger
I
Okay.
learners.
agree.
Kasi hindi
Miss
kakayanin na sila lang sa screen mag-isa and then interacting with the content. Definitely kapag kinder, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, hindi pa nila kaya yon. So there has to be a provision to um, to seek the help of an adult as the young learner access the material, the online learning materials.
Miss Winnie, with your experience, given your experience teaching the early grades, paano nyo po na-integrate yung technology sa sa mga bata?
Okay. Nung may face-to-face instruction kami, it's part of the blended learning approach ng school. But since we are forced to do it online with the students now, we are going to use the platform CISO for class. So we are getting the school account already, and then the teachers are being trained on how to use the procedural texts so that they can record, they can have a video recording, audio recording of the instructions. So it's not going to be all the time that the parents will need to be present when the students are working on their activities. Plus, we also plan to provide learning guides to our students. So yung pinakita naming sample na learning playlist, so that's how we plan to give it to our students na may nakalink na para you don't na pwedeng may icons pa nga eh. Para every time that the students need to read the book, they'll see the icon of the book and they know that they're supposed to read the book. Kapag may icon ng microphone, they're supposed to listen to the audio recording of the teacher. So, ganun yung gagawin namin instruction for our young learners.
In terms of making our learners engage, kasi syempre online na siya, walang nakabantay na teacher. Ako, based on my experience, ang mga bata, nasa classroom na, nandun na ang teacher, maingay pa din sila. Ito coming from my 10 plus years of teaching inside grade school hanggang tertiary levels, paano natin in the online learning environments, how do we make them focused to our lessons? Diana, can you share some of your techniques?
Okay. Wait. May I just add on dun sa kaninang issue with the younger kids, no? I think kasi ang iniisip natin ngayon is direct, parang ano lang siya, substitution ng physical presence. Mahirap yun kapag i-expect natin na yung online mag-work for kung ano yung ginagawa natin dati. We have to think about how to maybe even restructure the curriculum. Paano tinuturo ang mga bagay-bagay, di ba? For example, baka pwedeng mas tactile yung mga yung learning. So, kunyari, kung kindergarten yan, numbers or colors, and then, so ano ba, baka pwedeng mas inahawakan, binibilang, ganyan. And then we work in partnership with the parents. Kasi sa ibang dito lang ata sa Pilipinas parang, hindi ko sure pero parang sa Philippines, we're very detached, no? Parang, pumasok na sa school yung bata, baka kayo na bahala dyan. Pero in other countries, parents are partners with the teachers in the institution. So the teachers, when they call up the homes of their students every now and then, asking even yung sleeping patterns nila, kamusta, ganyan. Inaalam nila kung ano yung mga troubles ng bata, ano yung context ng bawat isang bata para mas mabilis silang i-address, 'di ba? Okay. We need to have a stronger partnership with the parents. Ang stakeholders dito hindi lang estudyante, hindi lang school, hindi lang teachers, parents. We need to work closer together talaga. Ayun.
So,
going back.
Mga magulang na nanonood today, so we really need your support in making sure our students are learning from home, because I think this is one of the major problems ngayon ng sistema of course, parents are working. There's a lot of people who will be out of the house. So, sinong magbabantay sa mga bata? But we need to design a routine and make sure that our students have a full grasp of what they're learning. May mga questions dito on making our students engage in online discussions. And how do we assess the effectiveness of asynchronous learning, or baka do kasi mag-Google lang. Don't worry po, mga ka-teachers dyan, because we will be having a special
Hindi ko
session
kita.
on assessment. We will be having sessions on student engagement
Ako ba
as
yan?
well. And
Hindi
then
ko
there's
makilala
also
yung
a question on online learning for special for students with special learning needs. Say for example, for those who are visually impaired, or with those who have lost their vision and hearing. Okay. For me to before I close the session, I need to show you some slides now, because earlier I was talking about the specific tech tools. No. Can we show the slides that I prepared for today? So I have here the benefits of technology in the classroom. Just to wrap this session up lang. This particular next slide, please. This particular session emanated from the global education gearing up for the new normal. So we already know that schools around the world are shutting down, and a lot of children are what do you call this, affected by the shutdown. So different countries, say for example in Singapore, they have LARC, a collaboration suite like Google Suite. That's for free as well, where they can do auto translation, real time editing of project work, and smart calendar schedule. We also need to understand that research tells us, okay, that online learning has been showing a lot of memory retention. Right, it's very effective in terms of maintaining memory. In South Korea as well, the trend now is, of course, before they're doing phone English, now they're doing online classes. And then a school or a university in China, there's a lot of students. They have several sites. Okay, in the eastern part of China, they already transitioned to online learning, and I think a lot of schools now in the Philippines are also doing the same. So step by step, hindi naman po tayo nagmamadali. We need to figure that out. But we also need to look at the disparity. So in Europe, they're 95% are getting like one-to-one gadget, while in Asia, say for example Indonesia, 34% lang ang may access doon sa gadgets na yan. In New South Wales, there are districts already and governments that have been providing gadgets to, of course, the students. And then, of course, this one picture, the last picture, is a sample PE class that's being done in Denmark. So why am I talking about this global education in the new normal? Next slide, please. Technology in the 21st century talks about becoming more predominant, which means that we have to make sure that even in the middle of crisis, we have to make sure that our classrooms are prepared. And whatever type of classroom that is face-to-face, lalo na dun sa areas where there's no case naman, or doon sa mga areas where there are a lot of cases and they're doing online learning, we have to make sure that we still protect our environment, and that is for us to make sure that knowledge is transferred to our students. Next slide, please. You will also see the impact of technology has had on today's schools. It's becoming more significant. So the widespread adoption of technology has completely changed how teachers teach and the students learn. So teachers are learning now how to teach with the emerging technologies. And of course, while students are using advanced technologies to shape how they learn. So a lot of students, kahit hindi natin sila bigyan ng access to gadgets, they find ways on how to be online. So next slide, please. So by embracing and integrating technology in the classroom, we are setting our students up for a successful life outside school. So we have to make sure that even in the middle of the pandemic, we need to make sure that learning is successful and our students are successful. Next slide, please. So I will be talking about the different benefits of technology in a nutshell lang. Next slide, please. So first, let's talk about technology in the classroom makes learning more fun. Okay, so students prefer technology now because they believe that it makes learning more interesting. Next slide, please. One more. There. So paano ba yun? So in essence, we have to make sure that even if it's an online class or it's done asynchronously, as teachers, we have to make sure that our materials are something that our students can enjoy. Kasi nga, wala na nga tayong physical contact sa kanila. Sometimes, impossible pa for those who do not have strong or stable connection. Impossible pa yon. So we have to make sure that we make our materials fun and fit for their ages. Technology also prepares our students for the future. So now that the jobs in the market are more of digital in component, we have to make sure that we do not stick only to the curriculum that we have. We have to reinvent our classes. Kasi hindi naman palaging numbers lang or words or formula lang. It's not about that. We need to teach our students on how to solve problems and make sure that they collaborate as teams. Kasi nga, we do not have an option now to group them into 5 or group them into 6 and make them do collaborative work. All they need to do is to make sure that technology is maximized. So by means of our apps or the things that we were discussing earlier, kila Sir Symbol, kay Miss Winnie, kay Miss Diana, all these tools po will help them prepare for their future. Next, please. As I was saying earlier, improve retention rate in terms of memory. In our research, 18 second grade students were challenged to complete a PowerPoint presentation. So 16 out of those 18 students remembered more facts about the animal lang. This is just a basic presentation about an animal. So imagine if your presentations are visual. Imagine if your classes are visual. It's gonna be fun for the students, and at the same time, mas ma-retain yung information from them. Next slide, please. And then, of course, lastly, we have here parang technology connects to our students. So it occupies an important place in the students' lives. Pag wala sila sa school, ang hawak niya mga yan, cellphones nila or laptops or iPads or whatever. For those who do not have access, most of the time, lalo na yung mga, wala naman kaming mga gadgets they already have an idea of what technology is. So we have to make sure that we onboard them as well. And as teachers, we do not just say na, ay, okay na to. Basic lang yung lesson ko So ito lang yung ibibigay ko. Imagine yourself as a student as well. Maiintindihan mo kaya ang lesson mo kapag binigay mo sa sarili mo. So put yourself in the student's shoes. So, next slide please. Ang technology po ay nagbabago every time. So we have to make sure as educators that we keep up to the times in order to prepare our students in the ever-changing world that we live in. And when integrating technology, 3 things. Nasabi na rin po ni Diana, kaya lang sasabihin ko ulit. Next slide please. First, we have to understand na hindi naman kayo dehado dito. Hindi tayo dehado dito. We talk about pedagogy first. Ano ba yung paraan ng pagtuturo natin? Ita-translate lang natin siya in a more bite-size, mas nanamnamin ng mga bata, lalo na ngayon na hindi natin sila kasama. Number 2, do not forget the curriculum. The curriculum is there, standardized. So po tayo mag-deviate. We can always deviate with our methods, but the curriculum is always it has to be there. If you're following K-12, if you're following a syllabus, please make sure that you do the spiral or you do whatever the institution is asking you to do. Because again, it has to be learner-centered. Okay, hindi naman po tayo nag-deviate doon sa kung ano man yung kailangan ng mga bata. We have to make sure that we follow the curriculum. Third po yung technology. So whatever tools are available there, it's not an excuse to tell your students na, ito lang yung available na tools. We have so many tools that are available out there. Next slide, please. This one is a quote that I'd like to share to everyone. Technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. So as teachers, that's our job to make sure that learning becomes transformational through technology. If you have questions, please, you may email us at education@globe.com.ph. Last slide, please. So kung meron po kayong mga tanong, do not hesitate to call us. And may I just remind everyone that you will be getting copies of our presentations. Just make sure that you register to the QR code. And at this point, I'd like to thank our speakers, Ms. Diana Elisherago from the Salle-College of Saint Benilde, Sir Symbol Fabellion from De La Salle Zobel School, and Ms. Winona Diola, right, from the De La Salle Zobel School. Maraming salamat po. It's my pleasure. It's an honor to be with you in this webinar, and I look forward to seeing you in the next webinars. We have more webinars. I think we have 6 more coming until August. So We are here to support everyone, dear educators. Together, we create the future of learning. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat din po.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yay!
Yay!